Pit lane over our booth, across the reservoir, on the inside of the last corner of our bend. Macau is about to get busy and about to get noisy once the cars are released. This session is due to get underway in 5 minutes' time. The timetable's taken a bit of a pounding over the course of the day with interruptions in a number of the sessions, but there are so many subplots in all of this and so many potential winners, it is not true. And this qualifying session is going to be incredibly fierce. Make no mistake about it as we get set to go. You just see Earl Bamber with the D2 Racing Porsche. That is Lawrence Van Thor in the Toro Racing round Porsche. Toro Racing, one of the squads that operates for different brands, for different manufacturers, with the Porsche as well as a Mercedes for Marchi Lee. That's Kevin Estre in the purple Coolmaster Hub Auto Racing Porsche, the French driver, World Endurance champion in GTE a few years back, of course. Spa 24 winner, Nürburgring 24 winner. The list goes on. Like all of these drivers, you start reading out a CV and you go on forever. The Audi Sport Team China cars ready to go as well. Edo Mortara, Mr. Macau, in number 40, and Christopher Hauser, his teammate, in 41. They've been specially liveried for Audi Sport Asia Team Absolute in the colours of the Storm Riders fable. So cloud is Edo Mortara and wind is Christopher Hauser.
Well, wind is about right today. No cloud, we've got clear skies here at Macau. Beautiful view that was, with the reservoir in the background looking down on Macau. We are sun-drenched. We are not particularly warm, about 20 degrees the high of this afternoon, with a wind, stiff brisk wind all afternoon. We can see the trees over there taking a right battering today over the course of all the action that we've had out on circuit. Kevin Estre down in the paddock getting ready to go out on circuit. Half an hour of qualifying. We just love GT3 cars around the gear circuit here at Macau. You would say, if you've never seen them, they wouldn't work. They won't fit. They do. And they go incredibly quickly around this circuit. They are so impressive they are, with the manufacturer backing to make sure that they get the top world drivers here for the GT World Cup, for the FIA GT World Cup, the Macau GT Cup. The cars line up down in Parc Fermé, and we talk about world-class drivers. Sheldon van der Linde is one of them, in one of the BMWs, one for him, one for Augusto Farfus as well. And the manufacturers are so well represented.
But by different teams, yes. It's not just one operating. So you've got Rover Racing for Farfus, you've got WRT for Sheldon van der Linde, who is new here. Farfus, one of the list of previous FIA GT Cup winners, the FIA GT World Cup returning to Macau. In fact, every driver that's ever won the GT World Cup at Macau is in the entry this year. That is how good the lineup is. Number 51 is Daniel Serra, who was good yesterday in the Ferrari, fourth in this car operated by Harmony Racing. And he'll be another one to watch in the course of this. So too will be their number 15, Alessio Picariello, the Belgian driver that's done the bulk of his racing in Asia. So knows the circuits well, raced here last year. And Adley Fong is going to be another driver to keep an eye to, the Hong Kong driver with his Audi. That's Edo Mortara set to go. He's won on Formula 3 and GT lists. Raffaele Marciello, second fastest yesterday. His final appearance for Mercedes. Don't think he's doing the Gulf 12 hours, so set to round out his association, he hopes, in style. Lawrence Van Thor made comfortable in the car. Engineer just making sure that the collar of the overalls isn't rubbing and distracting. And Matteo Cairoli, who's also tipped to be on his way to a different manufacturer for next year. He is going to lead them away then as we go green at the end of the Prix grid. And so qualifying is underway. And your prediction for pole position, Alan Hyde, is?
I have none. I have none.
Thanks for that.
I'm that certain about this. I have none.
Yesterday, Kevin Estre was in the wars a little bit, and that purple Porsche never quite delivered, so he's one that you can anticipate to perhaps go better. The two that have struggled a bit this weekend, as yet, Thomas Preining and Jules Gounod, so we've yet to see the best out of them, but the field now on track.
Have you got one?
I genuinely can't, but no. I'm leaning more Raffaele Marciello direction than anybody else, but that's not to suggest that he's going to be the obvious choice.
Daniel Juncadella, a winner here in the Macau Grand Prix, was a slow burner yesterday. It was right at the end of the session that all of a sudden the name came up, really for the first time on the top screen for qualifying, for free practice. Now it's qualifying. Let's see what's going to happen. There are so many world-class drivers that could potentially come out on top after half an hour of qualifying around the gear circuit. Yesterday, they behaved in just the most exemplary way, didn't they?
I do wish you'd not said that, but yes, they did.
They can't hear.
No, that's true. That's true. One of the reasons they can't hear is because all these cars make a fantastic noise. The brilliant thing about GT3 racing, not only the shapes, not only the sizes, but it is the noise. And you put all of that on a circuit like this, and it is just great. Sometimes you look at a GT3 car, say at the Macau hairpin, and you think, no, they're too big for here. And then you watch them all the way through our bend down towards Lisboa, and they just look right.
And from a sound engineer's point of view, we have the bounce back of the audio. So it's a great soundtrack anyway. Put it through, for example, the best speakers in the world, because you've got them reverberating from the walls, from the barriers. They echo around. You can hear them for miles. These are just wonderful, wonderful cars.
And yesterday it was a good mix of brands in the top 6 at the end of the second session. It was Porsche, Mercedes, Ferrari, BMW, then Audi. So getting a reasonable spread up at the pointy end. Lawrence Van Thor, the only World Cup winner to do it upside down, because his was a red flag race stopping crash. Big slide there from Andy Fong in the Hello Kitty Audi. More of which are none, I promise you, more of which are none.
They've been doing well over the merchandise stand.
So I see. I mean, look at all your bags.
Head to toe.
No stopping you.
Do you think it's too much?
No, not for you. It's very you.
People coming here for the merchandise for that car that haven't actually got a ticket to come and watch the racing.
Yes, but they're just here to buy, because there are things you can only buy here at the event.
Correct. Yeah.
Amazing.
There's a little model car which is only available for this weekend.
Do you know that Hello Kitty does not have a mouth?
No, that's right.
And the reason she doesn't have a mouth is so you can project your own feelings onto her.
It works, doesn't it?
There you are.
It works. 50 years of Hello Kitty. Oh, there's cars on track.
Indeed. Let's go to Matteo Cairoli, shall we? Because he is the first one to head down through Sector 1 on a flying lap. And let's see what he can do then as he gets to the end of the sector, being chased by Raffaele Marcello. And Marcello in the Mercedes, not quite as quick. So Matteo Cairoli running on his first set of Pirellis then, the regulation tyre provider. They get 5 sets for this, 4 for the F3 Cup, heading up the hill. Marcello then chases after Matteo Cairoli. So Raffaele, Italian, but now of Swiss adoption, is chasing after the Italian. Matteo Cairoli in the very, very attractive green and red Porsche. I know it's not a Belgian beer, but I am tempted to buy a model of that. It just looks good, doesn't it?
It does look good. It looks very good. Also looks quick, and it was quick yesterday, wasn't it? Right at the end of the session. We've gone purple in both sectors for Cairoli so far. And one of the things about this, when you've got all of these manufacturers, these wonderful cars, these mouth-watering cars that we all aspire to owning and probably never will, it's always interesting here at Macau that over the course of the first 2 days, you begin to see which car is going to have just a slight edge.
Yes, you're right.
Over everybody else. And could it be Mercedes? Could it be Porsche? Could it be BMW? There's always one that after these 2 days of free practice and then qualifying, you begin to get a glimpse into what's going to happen during the races.
Tell you what, this is an absolutely storming lap by Cairoli, because he's done 3 absolute best in the first 3 sectors. I mean, everything is aligning beautifully for him. Not suggesting nobody's going to touch him during the session. 4 absolute best in the sectors. That could equally be that others are still biding their time. 1 or 2 haven't left the pit lane yet. Engel, Picariello, David Chen, Jules Gounon, they've not yet gone out. But Cairoli is throwing down a gauntlet early in this session, saying, right, come on, take me on, everybody. He finished yesterday on a high, and as he comes then now out of our bend up towards the timing line. Yesterday they were doing 2:15s, and he goes and does a 2:18.035. Best time, Matteo Cairoli. That's the target. Marcello does a 2:21.
Couldn't be more purple, could it, for Cairoli? Purple in every sector, and then the quickest lap.
Now this is Raffaele Marcello. Let's do a lap with him. We're heading down towards the fast right of Mandarin.
Mandarin is just the most wonderful corner in any car. In a GT3 car, it is out of this world. With Raffaele Marciello at the wheel of a Mercedes, it is something to savour. He goes purple in Sector 1, turns into Lisboa, into the right-hander, onto San Francisco. The right-hander of San Francisco, Cairoli is quickest, on board with Raffaele Marciello, climbing the hill now, San Francisco Hill.
Farfus has gone even quicker in the first sector by about 7/10 of a second, but equally Marciello should improve the lap time. Heading then now with the wall on one side, the barrier on the other. That is Farfus. He's just done an absolute best in the first sector and couldn't get the car slowed down for Lisboa. Lap wasted.
Yeah, what a shame. So Augusto Farfus was brilliant in Sector 1 yesterday, did umpteen purple sectors in Sector 1, and then into the escape road at Lisboa. That is not ideal for Augusto Farfus. He can do it again.
Well, so much speed did he have, he couldn't get the car slowed down. Marciello is catching traffic, which gets out of the way. More drama. That's Thomas Preining escaping, and there's another car up the escape road as well at Lisboa, so it's all kicking off. I think it's Yi Hong Li who is up the escape road as well, number 33 Porsche, so he's going to try to sort himself out as Marciello then accelerates now towards Donna Maria. Thomas Preining we saw get going again in the blue 911, but this is Marciello down to Melco hairpin.
Yeah, Cairoli is on a good lap again. Sector 2 purple, Sector 3 purple, Sector 4 purple. Cairoli is absolutely on it from the start of this session. Really superb. At the end of free practice yesterday, he went top, and today has gone top on lap number 1. He's going to go top on lap number 2 as well, waiting for Sector 5 to be completed. A 2:18.035 is the target time for Cairoli, his own time, and is about to complete Sector 5, go on to the third of the flying laps. Cairoli goes purple as well in Sector 5, so now the benchmark time is 2:15.859.
Marciello did a 2:17.4, so it was a better lap but not good enough. Vanthor is now third, so that's 2 Porsches in the top 3. Estra is 8th, so that's Marciello then. Lap done as he goes down towards Mandarin. Fantastic shot from the external and onboard cameras. It's just a brilliant corner, that. Down towards Lisboa. This has been where people were being caught out earlier and heading up the escape road. Marciello turns into the right-hander now. Farfus still pushing in the BMW, but Marciello climbing San Francisco Hill now.
Marciello all but glanced the barrier on the exit of Lisboa. That was absolutely millimetre perfect for the Mercedes driver. Now on the tight and twisty section, this is the part of the circuit you think they surely couldn't work around here. Well, even if they're not designed for it, these guys make them work. They are just inch perfect around the tight and twisty, hilly section of the gear circuit here at Macau. These have become such a highlight to watch.
Yeah. Slowest yesterday, now 7th, Marci Lee. So his Toro Racing Mercedes has had a real dose of something overnight. Augusto Farfus, absolute best in Sector 1 again, and I hope this time he's made the corner. Vanthor has gone absolute best Sector 2. So now the order is starting to have a bit of a peppering of improvements. Kevin Estra up to 3rd and an absolute best in Sector 2. Marciello an absolute best in Sector 3.
Earl Bamber up to 4th as well. Yeah, absolute best in Sector 3 for Raffaele Marciello. Absolute best in Sector 2 for Kevin Estra in 3rd position at the moment. Adley Fong goes 6th, though an improvement there for Adley Fong in the Hello Kitty car.
And Sheldon van der Linde goes 2nd in the WRT BMW. Danny Juncadella goes 2nd ahead of him. Daniel Serra goes 2nd ahead of the pair of them.
This is wonderful stuff. And meanwhile, Matteo Cairoli is further improving his times. A 2:15.859 is the target time.
And Mauro Engel in 77 Mercedes is about to rattle off his first flying lap of the session. This is Marciello coming in the Landgraf Mercedes now through our bend up towards the timing line. And Mauro Engel will break the beam. Behind him, there he is. Marciello is quickest, yeah, 2:15.639. And what about Mauro Engel, 6th on his first flying lap, 2:17.6.
So Cairoli into pit lane, and we've got a new target time, a 2:15.639 for Raffaele Marciello.
This is insane, isn't it? What a session. Look at that, right up against the wall, Eduardo Mortara. He goes 3rd fastest, 2:16.1. Vanthor goes quickest, 2:15.3. And then you've got Earl Bamber, then you've got Kevin Estra coming across the line. Bamber drops a spot, Estra goes through for 3rd. Farfus over the line. stays 8th.
Only good enough for 8th, yeah. So, although an overall best in Sector 1, which Farfus did again and again yesterday in free practice, the car and Augusto absolutely perfect through Sector 1, but not putting it all together for the remaining sectors, and therefore Lawrence Van Tour, top time, target time, 2:15.387. Raffaele Marciello, 2 minutes 15.639 in second place. Kevin Estre is third. Cairoli is
That's
fourth.
Estre in the wall, though. That is Kevin Estre, the man that is third in the wall. Estre's second mistake of the weekend, and this time it's a really significant one.
It certainly is, yeah. It's just the point that you go in. If you get it wrong, you've got two options: try and make the corner or go down the escape road, because the only other option, and it brings out the red flag, is to do exactly that, to nose into the tyres, and that car is going nowhere. Porsches are quite susceptible at the front as well, aren't they?
Well, that's where all the cooling system is, yeah. So depending on the angle of the hit, you know, you can, even if it's a light touch, you can just drain all the coolant out of the front. That, I think, will have sustained a bit more serious damage, and Kevin Estre will be absolutely livid with himself. He just done, isn't it always the way, a personal best within the first sector, and a bit like Farfus, then too much speed carried into the corner, couldn't make Lisboa. We have seen, though, from the onboard, just how hard it is to see the corner, because basically there's this long line of barrier with a gap, and you go into the gap.
You do, and before you know it, those tyres are looming ever closer. You've got to get Lisboa absolutely right. It's a ridiculous thing to say, Hyde. You've got to get every single element of this circuit absolutely right, because it is centimetre critical all the way around.
Woof. So that takes us to...
It's quite nice to have a little breather, though,
not quite halfway, but you're right. Time for deep breath. You've got to feel for Marcello on that lap, because he'd done 3 sectors, all improvements. One was an absolute best, but then the lap has to be aborted because of the red flag. And it's going to take a few minutes to get Kevin Estre's Porsche from out of the tyre stack and then crane away. That will be the end of his session.
It's a mighty battle between Porsche and Mercedes at the moment, isn't it? We say that there's some kind of inkling that you get at the end of day 2 as to which manufacturer is just going to be on top as far as set up and the course of the weekend around the gear circuit for their car, and at the moment it's impossible to tell.
So there is Matteo Cairoli, who was the real gun at the start of the session, 4th fastest. Possibly a new set of Pirellis to be put onto the car. That's Porsche being run by Absolute Racing, one of the more experienced teams in the region.
Did you find out from Pirelli last night how many tyres they bring at this?
It's actually not, I didn't get a number, but the answer was it's not as bad as you think, because there are discernible limits.
Right.
So it's 5 sets for F3 for the weekend, sorry, 4 for F3, 5 for the GT teams. So they know exactly off the entry how many to bring. And you know, it's 26 F3s, 20 of these cars. It's not like 52, 62 for a SRO GT race, for example. So in that respect, it's not too bad. There's still a lot of people and a lot of tyres, but it's relatively easy to manage compared to some weekends. Number 91 you're looking at there, Danny Juncadella. More spectacular colour schemes, the Craft Bamboo Racing Mercedes. Of course, Craft Bamboo having had a win last week with team patron Darrell Young. Alan is on the edge of his seat, by the way, hoping for a glimpse of the Hello Kitty Audi of Adley Fogg.
Absolutely certain we will. If not, the television director has missed the trick, because it is so popular.
Well, you see, the session's going to start in 35 seconds, Alan. You might be disappointed here.
Come on, move along.
That's El Bamba's Porsche, the D2 car of the Le Mans winner, double Le Mans winner, and this year's Nürburgring 24 Hours winner. And Edo Mortara getting set to go. The whole Hello Kitty aspect, in fact, the car's just arrived in the pit lane, so we may not get a look at it, but the popularity of this brand in this part of the world is quite extraordinary. And as Alan made the point earlier, the Hello Kitty merchandise, and I kid you not, they were queuing about a mile long, half an hour before it opened this morning. So whatever the fascination of the brand is, I'm afraid it doesn't do it for me, but it does it for somebody.
It's just happy.
Do you know how tall Kitty is?
No, I don't, but you do.
Kitty, who is actually Kitty White, is the height of 5 apples. How do you measure height in apples? I mean, how big is an apple? It's ridiculous. And she weighs 3 apples.
Yeah, she does. Yeah.
She's good at baking cookies and playing the piano. Her favourite subjects are music, art and English, and has a twin sister, Mimi. She has a boyfriend called Daniel, who wishes to be either a ballet dancer or a cameraman. We need to have a word with Daniel. I can't believe I've just read all this out.
Well done. That's good research.
You're a grown man, for heaven's sake. Somebody told me all this. I can't claim to have researched it myself.
We read the same thing
yes.
this morning.
Jules Goudon, number 2 Mercedes, he says desperately trying to salvage a career, goes back out on track. And there is Laurens Vanthoor, number 99 Porsche, Danny Jonquedeya. So that session did not take long to kick around, did it? Get the cars back out on track. But Lisboa strikes again.
It certainly does, yeah. It claims victims every year, and sometimes they are fairly big victims that they claim. And that Porsche of Kevin Estre, well, it's going to need a bit of work down in the paddock area. They've got new garages this year, and we've got this wonderful new building that houses the GT3 cars, and also just above a wonderful new international media centre where the press conference is going to take place after all of the races over the course of 4 days here at Macau. With a huge LED wall just behind. It doesn't reflect the logos, the sponsors of the event for the worldwide television coverage of the press conferences. So now, I guess the question is, how far down the order is Kevin Estre going to fall by the end of this half-hour session? Currently in 3rd, the time, a 2:15.743. Best lap yesterday in free practice 1 was a 2:16, so into the 2:15s for Kevin Estre. Still have a reasonable position at the end of this. Who are we particularly looking for improvements in? Well, for the top 10, Augusto Farfus has promised everything and so far not been able to deliver the lap time that reflects it.
Jules Goudon 15th, should be higher up than that.
It's a real concern.
But he is first time here. Maro Engel only 12th. I mean, I know I said it yesterday, and it is an obvious thing to say, but it does illustrate the strength of the entry. You can't have 15 potential winners and expect them all to be in the top 6. Something's got to give. Now, if anybody knows how to win around here, it is this man, Eduardo Mortara, and he's warming up the tyres, but as he heads down towards our bend, Edo Mortara has, of course, won the Macau Grand Prix twice in Formula 3. He's won the GT Cup 4 times. If anybody is the right man to go around the Gia circuit with, it's Eduardo Mortara, and the lap starts at Reservoir right now.
He's a rock star here in Macau. He is constantly run after by people wanting photographs, autographs. He is a god in Macau, and for good reason. We're about to see it because we are on board with Eduardo Mortara. He's won the Macau Grand Prix, he's won in GTs. He can win in just about anything around the streets of Macau.
And he's backed out of the lap. You saw him brake early and he's let the Ferrari go. So Mortara, realising that's not a push lap, gets out of the way of the traffic. So good use of the mirrors, good awareness of what's going on. But again, you saw on that shot just how hard it is to find the corner at Lisboa, because you just go tonking down that straight, waiting to find a gap in the barrier, and then you turn, and sometimes it's too late.
Yeah, it's an incredibly tight corner at Lisboa. It gives us one of the overtaking places on the circuit. It's at the end of a very fast section. It is eye-watering going through Mandarin, particularly in these cars. Also in a Formula 3 car as well through Mandarin. It is incredibly quick. And Rob Huff, star of touring cars around the circuits of circuit of Macau, told me just the other day, even he has to take a deep breath going into Mandarin every time.
Not surprised, really, because it is such a daunting corner. And every year, because cars are developed, they get that little bit faster. Might only be a tenth or two, but at that kind of speed, it's still going to be very fast. Number 40, Eduardo Mortara then, the cloud livery of the 2 Storm Riders Audis. The other one, Christopher Haase, for Audi Sport Asia team, Absolute, carrying wind as his character. Daniel Serra, 6th in the Ferrari, going around Malco hairpin. You see how tight it is for a GT3 car, but they all cope very effectively indeed.
Haven't spoken much about the Ferrari, have we? But we do have a couple of Ferraris out for Daniel Serra and Chan Wei An. Beautiful looking cars. Somebody once told me that the beauty of a Ferrari is that you can look at it at any angle and it still looks beautiful. And we saw that car up close in the paddock last night, and they're right. It does look gorgeous from every angle.
So you've got 2 different models. You've got there the 296, which is new this year, and then you've got the older 488 for David Chen, the man behind Harmony Racing. And Laurens Vanthoor, who was the fastest with 13 minutes on the clock, still in the pit lane, yet to go back out.
Yep, the target time of 2:15.387 into the second half of this qualifying session. It has been halted just once. It was a very short red flag intervention. Watching the Ferrari go inch perfect around Lisboa up towards San Francisco Hill. So Laurens Vanthoor stays down in pit lane for now. Second is Daniel Serra in car number 51 with a 2:15.602. On board with Raffaele Marciello in third place in the Mercedes, 2:15.639. It's going to take a long while to get used to talking about Raffaele Marciello and anything other than a Mercedes. He's been great for the brand, hasn't he?
Oh, totally. There's a very nice little tribute video that Mercedes AMG have done, and you just look at what he's won. You know, Spa, Indianapolis, championships, major races here so often. And don't forget, he was a champion in Formula 3 before he switched disciplines.
Yeah.
You know? But yes, he's been a fantastic ambassador for Mercedes, and there's not much that has eluded him over the years of driving for the brand.
Front runner here in Formula 3 machinery before switching into GT cars.
And it's BMW that he's rumoured to be going to for the future.
Is that a rumour?
Well, I think it's done now.
Okay.
He was linked with Lamborghini, and then, as I understand it, it either took a long time to get a contract done, or it all went quiet, or something. And BMW got a sniff that it wasn't a done deal,
right,
and went, do you know what? There's something. There's a pen.
We can offer a decent deal here.
And it was sorted. But it'll be really interesting next year, GT racing, with drivers switching brands, with teams switching brands as well. And I think you'll find some different names winning races, not only in terms of drivers, but also teams operating the cars. And add to all of this, of course, the fact that Audi Sport is meant to be ending at the end of this year for the customer racing programme, and therefore all of those factory drivers are going to be on the market as well. So GT racing next year, wherever and however, is going to look very different.
Christian Haase looks different as far as the times are concerned. Goes second, 2:15.593, and Laurens Vanthoor, who is quickest at the moment, is out from the pit lane.
Okay, so former teammates Vanthoor and Haase when Laurens was a WRT Audi driver. I did pose the question of WRT last night. Why is it always number 32, by the way, for your favoured car? What's the story to it? And Vincent Vos came back and said, well, there isn't really, it just is.
Okay.
All right, fine, thanks for that.
Good enough answer.
Yeah, I was expecting it to be something to do with, you know, the region, the postcode of the region that the team was in, for example. But it just is 32. It's stuck, and so there you go. 11 for Rover Racing.
Disappointing.
I know, I was very underwhelmed. Augusto Farfus looking a bit ragged on this lap, but the BMW did improve in Sector 2. Here's a man who knows his way around here, having raced in the gear race as well as winning in the GT Cup. He won it back in 2018. Started his touring car career as an Alfa Romeo racer in the days of the 156 against BMW, until BMW picked him up, put him into touring cars, and then the DTM, and then the WEC, and now GT3 racing as well.
Runner-up in DTM with BMW was Augusto Farfus, one of the nicest guys, lovely family, and is a very proud dad, and the family very often at the racing with Augusto, providing their support over the course of the weekend. A really thoroughly nice guy.
And a really good ambassador for BMW. You know, he's delivered the results for them, but even when the times have been tough, he's never let his head drop. He's never been disrespectful to the brand. He won the 2020 Intercontinental GT Challenge, won it at Kyle Army in the last race of the year, and still as quick as ever. So Augusto Farfus up towards the line. 10th he is, and improves to go second, 48,000 shy of Vanthoor. That was a really good lap in the end. It all clicked in sectors 2, 3, 4 and 5.
Good news. So 2:15.435. That's the first rather meaningful time for the BMW and for Augusto Farfus. And good that we carried on watching Augusto around the whole lap. I think Augusto joined up with BMW when he's just put in the overall best lap in the first sector once again. How close they come to the barrier on the exit of Lisboa. But I think he signed up, wasn't it, in 2012 when BMW had the return to DTM, so he was with them for the whole of their manufacturer campaign in DTM, was runner-up in the championship, and has been, as you say, a superb ambassador for the brand.
and has done an absolute best sector 1 and a personal best sector 2. But the only thing that might get in the way here is traffic, because it looked like there was a slower Porsche just a little bit up the road. Now that is Sheldon van der Linde. We saw a moment ago in 32, the WRT run car. Sheldon van der Linde, last year's DTM champion, South African Volkswagen champion. Twice, polos and then golfs. Came to Europe in the Audi TT Cup. Of course, his elder brother Sheldon van der Linde, we've got used to seeing also the DTM and also in SRO GT3 racing. But Sheldon for Audi initially, then BMW, has been a very busy man racing in America as well as in Europe. Racing here for the first time. So at the moment, Sheldon van der Linde is 13th, and he's done an absolute best in the second sector. So this is going to be an improved lap, isn't it, as he comes now down towards Fisherman's. The BMW still looks an enormous car. Fills a lot of the racetrack, almost up against the wall as he comes out of Fisherman's. Down towards our bend, hits the brakes, nose dips, turn right, turn through that long right, back onto the pit straight, and up towards the line he comes. Sheldon van der Linde was 14th, he's now second on a 2:15.395. Engel goes quickest, 2:15.1. I was about to say van der Linde was 8,000 shy of Van Thor for second, but Engel, another star around here, Maro Engel, goes quickest by nearly 3/10.
And I said it yesterday, I'm going to say it again today, about time too. He keeps us waiting, does Maro Engel. He is a top driver, and particularly around the gear circuit here at Macau. But he keeps us on the edge of our seats, doesn't he, waiting.
And he's gone straight on at the end of the straight into Lisboa. Maro Engel then, having just gone fastest, is now the one with the ink on his copybook. Big blot. So there he is, rejoining. We never saw you, Maro. It was fine. It was just an aberration. It was my eyes. Nothing happened.
Didn't he do the same yesterday?
I think he did. Edo Mortara, quicker than Engel now. 2:14.7, best lap of the weekend. Eduardo Mortara, 2 minutes 14. It's Audi back at the top. What a session. What a grid this is.
It's all go, isn't it? Eduardo Mortara, top of the times at 2:14.758. Maro Engel, second, and a little whoopsie down at Lisboa on that occasion. We'll turn our eyes the other way, Maro. Don't you worry about that. 2:15.103, second quickest at the moment. There's only one car who has ducked down into the 2:14s, and that is Mr. Macau, Eduardo Mortara.
This is just mad, isn't it? What?
Super.
So competitive.
It's just so good.
You know, we're looking at fractions of a second, hundreds, thousands separating the cars. And while all this is going on, of course, Kevin Estre has been bumped down to 10th. It could be a heck of a lot worse, couldn't it?
It could be an awful lot worse, but there are things for us to look at. Raffaele Marciello is now 9th.
I'm liking this grid. Matteo Cairoli, who was away like a robber's dog at the start of the session, he's 12th, so he's fallen. Danny Juncadella is down to 13th. And Marchi Lee is at the foot of the times as yesterday.
So Juncadella did it right at the end of the session yesterday. I wonder if that's the plan for today as well. Mortara is quickest, Engel is second, Van Thur is third, van der Linde is fourth, Farfus is fifth, and Bamba is sixth.
And Halser is 7th, and Serra is 8th, Marcello is 9th, Estre is 10th. Last lap through, Sheldon van der Linde, you're looking at him, did a couple of improved sectors out of the 5, but didn't improve the lap time. Christopher Haser has gone back out in Audi number 51. I feel as though we need a Hello Kitty update just to keep Alan happy. 15th is Adam Lefong.
Yeah, but great takings, the best takings. We've got 33. A problem, yellow flag down at turn 16, and that is Ye Hong Lee in the R&B Racing Porsche 911 with significant damage on the left front of the car. That's going to have taken out one of the radiators for sure.
And he's going to limp it back, but the good news is at least he can drive it back, so the road isn't blocked. There'll be a yellow, and it's in sector 4 towards the end of the lap. Coming upon him soon will be Sheldon van der Linde there. Right, I'm looking for the next hero. And Mortara has been the most recent to go fastest by 3/10 of a second.
It's got to be Marciello, surely. 4 minutes remain on the clock.
I reckon Cairoli is going to be the next one to deliver. And Farfus has done another absolute best in the first sector.
He likes sector 1, doesn't he?
Yeah. And it's getting a bit busy now. That compromises Marcello, look, because he had a damaged car to dodge round and a slower car. So Raffaele Marcello, well, he wasn't on a really quick lap anyway, actually, in fairness. So he got a bit lively ahead of him. This is what Ye Hong Lee did. He clipped the tyres on the inside, the barrier on the way in, went wide into the barrier on the outside, bounced off it, and also nearly blocked the road, but thankfully got the car moving. Right, Farfus will be the next one to look at. Cairoli likewise, and Engel is rebuilding a lap as well.
And Marciello is going to go on to a quick lap on this occasion. We've got 3 minutes and 20 seconds of the session remaining. I do pity the poor old camera crew. What do you look at on this qualifying session? Because it has chopped and changed, and it continues to do so. Mauro Engel goes overall best in sector 3. He is currently second, 2:15.103, compares to Mortara with a 2:14.758. Let's watch Mauro Engel, please.
So there he is, 77, Mauro Engel. He's got to find 0.346 of a second to get himself back to the top of the times then, as the Mercedes from the Craft Bamboo Racing team accelerates now towards the line. And once we've got Engel through, Farfus will be the next one on a mission, although he's dipped in the third sector. So Engel, he's got to be doing really a 2:14 now to be in the races, and he comes over the timing line. Mauro Engel breaks the beam. It's a 2:14.9, but he stays second. Two
cars in 2:14s now. That's Eduardo Mortara and Mauro Engel. Worth watching Mauro Engel on that lap, but not quite close enough. Just a tenth of a second away from Eduardo Mortara.
Farfus and Bamba both improving in sectors 1 and 2, both dropping time in sectors 3 and 4. Juncadella goes third, like yesterday, he's leaving it late. Daniel Serra goes third in the Ferrari. Farfus over the line, doesn't improve after all of that. And nor does El Bamba improve 8th on the grid. He stays where he is, and now we've got only 2 minutes to go.
Mortara, Engel, Serra, Juncadella, Van Thor, Van der Linde, Farfus, Bamba, Haza and Cairoli.
So Cairoli into the top 10. This at Melco is Marcello. He's 11th. Down in sector 1, personal best sector 2, absolute best sector 3. Road clear ahead of him as he comes down the hill then through Black Sands. This next fast right is going to be Fisherman's, then on towards our bend. And right now, Raffaele Marciello has got to try to find a big chunk of time, like 9/10 really, to go top. Winner here, the last time it was the FIA GT World Cup. He comes towards our bend, drops it down a gear, hustles it in, back onto the power now, drags it over the line, and Raffaele Marciello will go through and goes third fastest on a 2:15.034.
Mortara, the job is finished, into pit lane, so Eduardo Mortara on top of the times. Car number 40, 2:14.758. Mauro Engel still going. It's a slower lap for sure in second place, so Mauro Engel is going to remain in second place for now to Eduardo Mortara. Mortara in pit lane. Mauro Engel still out on track, but I fancy is into pit lane at the end of this lap.
And this is Lawrence Van Thor coming up to the end of the first sector. Absolutely knocked to the wall here, absolutely flat out that as he comes down towards Lisboa, not improving in the first sector. And thinking Porsche, Kevin Estra is now down to 12th. Decidedly Albert's mother about all of this. Van der Linde improving to 4th, absolute best in the last sector last time. Stay with Van Thor, up the hill now.
Marciello has gone personal best in sector 2 as well, and we're on board with Van Thor. So not a particularly impressive first sector for Lawrence Van Thor, but goes personal best in sector 2 in the Porsche number 99. It's Mortara, Engel, Marciello. The checker flag goes out, staying on board with Lawrence Van Thor on sector 3 now.
So this is Marciello, and he was down in 1, up in 2 and down in sector 3, so it's a bit mixed this lap. Mortara, remember, has pitted, he's out of the session. Marciello is trying to improve. He's a little bit bitty, so he's got the best out of that set of tyres. Through Donna Maria he comes. We'll know in a moment at the Melco hairpin whether there's a chance.
Same for Van Thor, you know, it's down on sector 3, so is Marciello. Have we got our provisional grid already set?
Great sound out of the Mercedes as Marciello nails the throttle coming out of the hairpin, drops it down through Black Sands.
Unbelievable sound, that car.
It is. Into the sunlight. Drops it down a couple of gears now. Go right at Fisherman's. But I'm not sure this is necessarily going to be the big improvement that he needs. Farfus has given up on the session. He's pitted 8th after all the excitement. Marciello will stay out to the end, so let's see. Third he is. Can he get himself onto the front row of the grid? The answer is yes! He goes fastest, 2:14.5. Wow, Raffaele Marciello 2/10 quicker than anybody else. That was a tremendous lap, and he was with 2 sectors that weren't personal improvements, but it was all strung together beautifully. At times I thought, no, he's going to bail out of this, but Raffaele Marciello goes fastest by 2/10 of a second. Eduardo Mortara Were you watching?
In the pit lane, I'm sure he was. There's a big screen at the end of pit lane, so he would have seen that come through. Marciello very, very happy, and rightly so. Emotional stuff. Yes, 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 says Marciello inside the car.
He's just won the Pirelli Pole Position Award. That will be a trophy presented to him. It's only a qualifying session only, but you can see how much it means.
This is something special, isn't it? 2:14.5 for Raffaele Marciello. Emotional weekend anyway. There's a lovely signage on the side of the car, isn't there? Known as Lello, Raffaele Marciello on top of the times with a 2:14.542, and he is absolutely delighted.
What a lap.
And breathe.
Well, indeed. I mean, that was half an hour that went in the blink of an eye.
Yeah,
that was fantastic, fantastic drama at Macau.
Highlights of the day so far.
Yes, and it's up against a lot to say that, but that was just outstanding. Great cars, great drivers, great circuit, and just what a session. And riding with Raffaele at the end of that lap. Just so interesting, though, isn't it? You get tricked into thinking that you know what a lap is going to be, and there were, as I say, occasions where you think, no, it's not looking that hot, sectors are down, but then none of them were absolute bests. 2 of them were slower than he'd done hitherto, but all strung together, it was enough to be the best lap of the weekend, not just the session, the weekend in a GT3 car. And Raffaele Marciello, if he is to leave Mercedes after this weekend, is aiming to do it in style. Oh.
That was superb. We both have run out of words.
Well, I've run out of superlatives with Marciello after all these years. I've talked about quite a lot of his races, not just sort of single driver GT Cup Macau events, but the Sprint Fanatec GT, the Endurance Cup, and then IGTC races as well. We've seen him in the Nürburgring 24 hours, haven't you and I, and talked about it there. And I think this year at Zandvoort, for one of the first occasions that I can remember, I can't remember many, there was a mistake and he slithered off the road, but it doesn't happen very often, and that's why he's always been in demand, always delivers. There was a great, I'll come back to it in a second, a great line that he came out with in one of the Sprint Cup races. But Raffaele Marciello tops the times from Eduardo Mortara, Mauro Engel third, Laurens Vanthoor fourth ahead of Sheldon van der Linde, and then Danny Juncadella sixth, Daniel Serra seventh, Augusto Farfus eighth, 9th Earl Bamber, and 10th was Christopher Hauser. 11th Matteo Cairoli ahead of the other Porsches of Alessio Picariello and Kevin Est and Thomas Priming, and the damaged car of Yi Hongli, all in a clump, the Porsches there. Adam Fong 15th from Jules Gounon, Frankie Cheng, David Chen and Marchi Lee. In the Fanatec GT World Challenge Europe this year, Raffaele is shared with Timur Boguslavski, and the question was put to him as he was watching a gap coming down that he built up, and Boguslavski was trying to preserve it, and it got a bit close at the end. You know, were you concerned, or did you think that Timur had enough in hand? And Raffaele very languidly said, I am always worried when Timur is in the car. And another race, just to show how laid back he is about it all, they'd got their 4th win of the season. 3rd win of the season? 3rd win of the season. And Timur Boguslavski said, you know, it's a really good race, that's our 3rd win. 3rd win? And Raffaele just said, don't know. Another day at the office, doesn't count the wins.
He's so cool.
So laid back, so cool.
So cool.
I think it was last season, every weekend there was a different hair colour. And he's just a great character. So there is Raffaele Marciello, who gets out of the car, the fastest driver by 0.216 of a second for the Landgraf Mercedes team. And it's going to be a big smile, I'm sure, from Raffaele Marciello. You saw how much it meant to him on that in-lap. And so the Pirelli cap's about to be presented to him. And what a lap. Who's P2? Well, there is the man that's P3, Mauro Engel. So straight away, Raffaele wants to know who he's up against on the front row.
He does, yeah. There was one moment of smiles and hugs, and then straight on with business. And a debrief between Raffaele and Mauro down in Conferme.
So Raffaele Marciello about to put his hat on, winner's hat on, big smile. And what a session. Let's look at the best bits then of the FIA GT World Cup qualifying for the Macau GT Cup.
Dove ha picchiato Dani in uscita. Io ho toccato all'interno. All'interno quella dopo io ho toccato.